Lakeland Currents is sponsored by Nisswa Tax Service. Nisswa Tax Service offers tax preparation for individuals and businesses. Across from City Hall in Nisswa and on the web at nisswatax.com.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome to Lakeland Currents, where today we're going to be talking about a subject that's probably frightening to all of us, and that is dementia and Alzheimer, which is a form of dementia, of course. We're hearing more about it all the time as our population ages, and we have more and more people my age getting older. It's becoming a national problem, and I think it's probably a bigger problem in the United States than it is in a lot of the other places in the world, which we're not always positive of why, but it certainly is a growing problem here. So today we're going to be talking about the disease and people who are helping people cope with this disease. And I'd like to introduce today my friends from the Lakes Area Memory Awareness Advocates. And to my immediate right is Amanda Mithun, who is Intensive Outpatient Program Coordinator at Lakewood Health System in Staples. And to her right is Lynette Linstad, who is a Marketing and Admissions Director at Edgewood Vista Assisted Living in Brainerd. And then the minority on the panel is Ken Martin, who is a Senior Housing Specialist at Good Samaritan Society in Brainerd. Welcome to you all. And before we get into what you do, someone's got some recent data about what is happening in the field of dementia. Could you share with our viewers some of that? Because it's pretty frightening what's happening.
Sure. Well, the Alzheimer's Association releases current data about once a year, and in March is usually when that data comes out. And so it just came out, and the most recent statistics do state that 1 in 3 seniors in America do die with some form of dementia or Alzheimer's.
1 in 3.
1 in
wow.
3. That doesn't necessarily mean that that's what killed them, but that's, they have that disease.
Wow. Mm-hmm. I think when I was a kid, when people started acting funny, we just thought they were becoming a little senile. Yep. And these people who are senile were more in their 60s. Well, now as people are living longer, we're seeing it sometimes later. But as we mentioned before the show, there is an early onset stage of dementia. You said that is, what's the definition of that?
I think it's anyone diagnosed under the age of 65.
Wow, that's pretty frightening, isn't it?
Yeah, and we're seeing that more and more.
What are some of the really early ages that you've seen?
Well, like you were talking about in the 30s, and also you hear a little bit about that. There's research now connecting like concussions and traumatic brain injuries. So we'll hear sometimes of NFL players. We'll hear that dementia diagnosis. But otherwise, I know more of like 50s.
Yeah, we've had a resident at 49.
49. Wow. Well, let's just talk a little bit about your organizations that you work for, and then we can talk a little bit about the advocacy group that you've put together and what you do with that group. Maybe we could start with you, Amanda. What is the intensive outpatient program at the Lakewood Health System?
Sure. Well, what it is it's part of the Reflections program, and that's actually where I started working. The Reflections program at Lakewood Health Systems is a geriatric psych program. So we have an inpatient hospital, psych hospital, with up to 10 beds. And so that's where I started. I started as a care coordinator there, and I really started to see a lot of our patients with dementia and with some of the problematic behaviors we see secondary to dementia. And so that's where I really started to get interested in dementia and became involved with LAMA. And then in December, I transitioned over to our intensive outpatient program, which is a program where we do group therapy with people 50 years of age or older.
What is it? What do you, when you say a psych clinic or a psych?
It's a psychiatric hospital. It is a locked psychiatric hospital,
and
10 bed.
What are the issues that cause people to come there?
It's not safe to self or others. So that's kind of the primary thing, is they're maybe not safe in their homes, or they're maybe suicidal. But the majority of what we get are people who are struggling with some dementia, Alzheimer's, and they're just maybe not safe in their home, or they need some medication adjustments, things like that.
So when you first started in that ward, is that I'm not sure that's the correct
unit?
Term, that unit, Were you able to recognize right away that some of those folks were suffering from dementia-type issues?
Yeah, yep, and they would present and say, I think this person has dementia. So some of what we would do would be give the formal diagnosis or just build off of that diagnosis and help them. And it became very evident, wow, these are symptoms of dementia.
When people have dementia, is it typical that they are not violent, or can they be violent? How does violence fit into the average? I guess
on average, I would say they're not violent. But a lot of times when they become, anxious and confused, it can tend to present in some violence. Yeah, and behaviors. They really lose that ability to communicate and express their needs, and sometimes that will come out in aggression.
Or more of a physical action.
Yeah.
So when you started, Amanda, in your field, did you see this connection coming where you're going to get involved in dementia more than you are?
Right away I felt like, wow, this is an issue, and I don't feel like there's enough attention in the community and in the United States on this, as I'm seeing it just really, I don't want to say destroying families, but in some ways just really taking a toll on them. And so that's why I started getting involved.
Lynette, what is it that marketing, I shouldn't say marketing, you're the marketing and admission director, but Edgewood Vista Assisted Living, what is that?
We have 97 apartments in our community. We have assisted living, and we have memory care. So I became involved 5 years ago when I started a position there for life enrichment, which is activities. So I was doing activities in our memory care. We call it Mabel's Home. We have 40 apartments. Mabel's Home. And we have 40 apartments there for those with dementia or cognitive issues. So I started doing activities, and after about 2.5 years in activities, I became the marketing and admissions director. And in the admissions process, you definitely see the families going through this struggle, needing information, needing resources, just being given the diagnosis but not being told what to do after that. So at Edgewood Vista, we have assisted living and memory care, and we also do adult day services and short-term stay. So if a family needs that much needed break, we do an admission process, and they can stay for as long as needed. So we have some who come in for 2 weeks, a month, 2 months, but that caregiver is a great concern for all of us on the team here as well, because they also become wore out and need services. So that's where Edgewood Vista can step in.
When you talk about assisted living, what happens there? What kinds of things do these people get help with?
Assisted living is apartments with services. So in assisted living, we may do their med management, med setups. We have certified med passers who give them their meds every day. We could assist with showering. We have 3 meals a day. We have activities. We have transportation for them to go to their appointments. But helping with their activities of daily living, such as getting dressed or taking a shower.
Is there a waiting list to get into your places, or is it something you have? You're a marketing person. I'm suspecting you need to help people understand that you're there.
Yeah.
And so what are the circumstances usually?
Right now I don't have a waiting list. Right now I'm currently have 1 opening, so I'm working on filling it.
Don't sign me up yet. Okay, and Ken, you're the senior housing specialist at the Good Samaritan Society in Brainerd.
Yes.
What is the Good Society for people outside of this area that might not know what that means?
Sure. So Good Samaritan Society, we, in the Brainerd area specifically, we offer that full continuum of care, meaning from senior living apartments clear through end of life. A lot of people know us as Bethany and Woodland for our nursing home, or we like to refer to them as care centers. But on the other side of it, what part I'm available on is the senior living side of it. So we have apartments at Bethany. We have 37 apartments there.
So you have 2 campuses.
We have 2 campuses, yep, and they're actually within a quarter mile of each other. So we have a little over 130 beds for our nursing home at Bethany. We have 37 apartments there. At our Woodland campus, we have 135 apartments over there in which we can do independent to assisted living, as well as like what Billy had mentioned. But then we also have on the backside of our campus our memory care units. So we call them the tree houses. We have 2 little memory care cottages that are little 16-unit suites. And by doing that, they're able to keep close supervision while providing those assisted living features with them.
And Good Samaritan is a larger organization, obviously, than Brainerd.
Correct.
It's across a wider spectrum.
Yeah, it was founded in 1922 up in Arthur, North Dakota, and since then it has grown. So our national campus is in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. The Brainerd Lakes, so we have communities in Brainerd and then also Pine River. And with those 2 communities, we're actually one of the larger of the Good Samaritan Societies. But they are in 26 states right now.
So as a senior housing specialist, what is it that you specifically do?
Sure. My biggest thing is working with the families. So when they're looking at, again, we're a 55-plus community. And so when looking at maybe they want a retirement place, or maybe they're getting to that point where mom maybe has early onset Alzheimer's, I'm able to work with them and help get them in a place that's, one, safe, but also giving them that quality of life that they still deserve.
I know that none of you are medical doctors and probably not specialists, but you've all been in the business for quite a while, or probably Amanda hasn't. She's the youngest, because I've known Amanda for a long time. But is this looking like it's running more in families, or is it really haphazard? Dementia, Alzheimer's?
It does not discriminate.
Yep.
It does
Yep.
not
But does it
discriminate.
look like some families have a tendency to have more of it?
Yeah, and there is research. They're starting to identify certain genes for certain types of dementia. But again, with everything, it doesn't mean that you're gonna get it. You might have a predisposition, but there's, nobody really knows exactly why you get it. But there is some family connection.
Is this a Western culture phenomenon more than it is in some parts of the world, or are there
I
certain-
think it is worldwide,
Yeah.
because there is Alzheimer's organizations
In
across
Europe,
the world.
Europe's really, they're actually
Australia.
have kind of been the leading in getting supports and research on dementia, Europe and Australia. I think when we think about, third world, first world, I think you look at lifespan. And right now in the United States, our lifespan just continues to grow. And as we see the lifespan growing, we see the incidence of dementia and Alzheimer's growing as well, because it does tend to happen more later in life.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting. I know the University of Minnesota has been doing a lot. They have a researching department there, a woman who has done some incredible research with mice and dementia. And I'm not sure if she is publishing any of the research she's doing, but I know in the past couple of weeks there's been a couple of kind of exciting developments in the area of treating dementia and Alzheimer's, and one is using sonar and breaking it up similar. I'm certainly not an expert in this, and I don't want to pretend like I know what I'm talking about, but it sounded like similar to the process that you'd use to break up a kidney stone. And they were saying that it breaks up the plaque on the brain without having a lot of side effects. And then another article came out here, it was on the national news, about a chemical, a medicine that they're using. But all of this still seems like a long ways out. So for all of us who are concerned about this in our daily lives, it isn't here yet to help us. But it does seem that as our country starts investing more research, we're starting to find some things that we can work on. But it is really, I think you alluded to this, Amanda, that we're seeing more and more young football players that have these dementia issues. And boy, anything that we could do to start solving this problem would be wonderful. Well, let's talk a little bit about the Lakes Area Memory Awareness Advocates. What is that, and what do you do?
We are a group of volunteers, and we meet actually once a month. And our goal is obviously to raise awareness of the Alzheimer's and dementia process going on. In doing so, we actually put together different forums and then have different special events throughout the year to help support that. One of the big things that we did, actually, it was just a couple months ago at our Bethany campus. Glenn Campbell famous country singer, a lot of people know and are familiar with, has dementia. And so we were able to get this documentary in which the family did to help raise more awareness on dementia. And so we had this special documentary, and it's not even out as of yet. It's coming out in May. It sounds like to public movie theaters. And
really? So it'll be a documentary you could go and see.
Yeah, it was released in October, in November on very short and limited screens, because documentaries tend to not do all that well, so they don't go big. And so then we had that opportunity in January to share it.
Yeah, and it was amazing. You know, we had, it was just over 200 people that we invited that came to view it. Some professionals, some caregivers, just to kind of help raise that awareness and, you know, to really see his stages. Basically, they went out on tour, just him and his family, and towards the end there, he had to, you know, use a teleprompter for everything, and even had a hard time remembering his daughter's name. And so she had to kind of keep prompting him, this is what we're going to do next, Dad, let's go. And but playing the guitar was absolutely amazing right up to the end there.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
And I know that in, I think February, there was an awards program that recognized Glenn Campbell. Excuse me. And they said that the sad part about it was that it didn't mean anything to him anymore. He didn't even know who he was. I think you said he's in he's probably in a memory care unit now in Nashville.
Yeah.
But isn't it interesting that sometimes the people with dementia can still do certain things?
Yeah.
He was a fabulous guitar player. I had the opportunity to see him play a few times. And he was still playing well in that documentary, wasn't he?
Absolutely
It was amazing.
Yeah,
it really was.
He couldn't remember, and it was interesting because with the teleprompter was actually putting the words to the songs, and there was one performance that the teleprompter went out, and all of a sudden he just stopped everything and what's going on? Where am I? And then all of a sudden they got the teleprompter fixed, and the daughter came up. Okay, Dad, let's continue on. And they took right back off, and he was back up and running like normal. Wow. Just amazing.
And actually, the reason we were selected to share that film is because LAMA is also part of the Act on Alzheimer's. And so the Act on Alzheimer's is a Minnesota legislator-funded grant process that we are one of the communities. We were one of the original communities, and now they're up to about 34, 35 communities in Minnesota that have gone through this grant process.
So now you folks have been trained, you said, by
The Alzheimer's Association.
And what is the Alzheimer's Association? Is that a professional group of people?
That's a national organization, and they're kind of the forefront in the United States, and they're the ones that collect all that data. They sponsor lots of fundraisers. They do the walk.
In September in Brainerd at the Arboretum.
So Brainerd's one of the communities that does a walk every year.
So now you have an event coming up in Brainerd in May, right?
Yep.
It'd be after our show airs, obviously, but what is that event?
Yep, that's at Arrowwood Lodge that we're doing that, and it's an
Arrowwood Lodge is in Brainerd, up on 371.
Yep. And it's every year we come up with professional speakers, and it's also a great way if you do have healthcare professionals that they can get continuing education credits also with this program. But a lot of it, again, is more to raise awareness, and by having our professional speakers, and Amanda, you can maybe mention some of the speakers, that they really do raise more of the awareness, and even some of them can talk to the caregivers on how to work with that loved one that does.
So is this event for caregivers?
For both.
Primarily?
Well, for caregivers and professionals. We're kind of unique in that we want everyone to come. We have like booths set up. We allow opportunities for vendors and sponsorship. And then you come, and professionals, caregivers, anyone can come.
And what's the date?
It's May 19th.
And what time?
At 8 o'clock is registration, and our program starts at 9 to 3:15. And we are featuring, our speaker is Erin Benito from Gemini Consulting, and she really focuses on communication with the caregiver. Her program is called I Already Told You That, Don't You Remember? And it involves role playing. In fact, Ken's going to be one of our actors, and so she does about a 2.5-hour presentation. And then our afternoon, we're doing a panel of after the diagnosis, community resources. So we're bringing people from the community together to just share the resources in the Brainerd Lakes area. And then to close out the forum, we actually have Dr. Julie Mayers-Benson from Lakewood Health System talking end of life and dying with dignity. So we didn't really plan it this way, but the forum's kind of covering the whole process of dementia, you know, working with the caregivers, the families, how can we help, what are some of those resources, and then talking about that end of life, because that, you know, it's hard to talk about, difficult to talk about, but it's
I had
reality.
Dr. Benson on my
I know
show
you did,
this
yep.
winter, and she
Yep.
did a really good job.
Yep.
And I think helped me understand a different perspective of looking at life. It can be a wonderful thing at the end of
Yep.
life. It doesn't have to be, like she said, 100% of us are going to die.
Yep.
Yep.
So let's understand that, and then let's make that a good experience, as good experience as we possibly can.
Yeah. You know, and even with dementia, it seems like it's still very much a taboo thing that, you know, people just don't want to talk about it. And that's obviously the worst thing you can do is, you know, just try to hide it and pretend that it's really not there until it gets to the point where it's too far that we can't help them in both Billy and my role.
Right.
Yeah.
That they're too much that we end up putting them in a nursing home right away.
So your memory awareness advocacy is above and beyond what you all do in your regular job.
Yeah, correct.
So you're all volunteers in this organization,
Yes.
and you don't work with individual people who have dementia in this organization, but you do try to develop an awareness and a
Yep.
coping mechanism or coping mechanisms for people who deal with this and how they should be dealing with it.
Yep.
So you're looking for new members?
Always.
Always,
You
yeah.
can always use more.
Yeah.
And what is it that new members would do if they joined your organization?
They can help with the form, or they
Is it
can
one form a year that you
one
do?
form a year.
Yep.
Yep, our official forum. And if anyone wants to come to a meeting, it's the second Wednesday of the month, every month, 8 a.m. at Home Instead in downtown Brainerd. And we meet
What is that?
At Home Instead.
Home Instead Senior Care,
Yeah.
Okay,
it's
where's that located?
right by Mid-Minnesota Federal Credit Union in downtown Brainerd.
by the
Okay.
old water tower.
By the old water.
Yep.
So you meet once a month?
Yep.
And
And
then-
it's 2 hours usually, and we spend that time planning, planning our next event.
Yep.
We're working on that grant, the Act on Alzheimer's. So right now we're working on our work phase, and then we're going to start taking action and doing things in the community. And right now we're really focused on the forum and getting everything finalized.
So when you do this, and you all work with individuals with Alzheimer's?
Yes.
Or dementia, I'm not sure how we should be addressing it. What's the term I should be using? Dementia, okay?
Dementia.
Dementia.
Yeah.
Because we always say dementia is the umbrella.
I think,
And like you had said, yeah, and Alzheimer's is a type.
don't you think for most families it becomes a family issue that they kind of keep within the doors of their family?
Yeah.
I would guess that your kind of organizations are a real big help.
Yeah.
Like hospice for people who are in their end of life.
Yeah.
I just have 2 family members that went through hospice care, and boy, that was just the greatest experience. I mean, everybody said it just was a life-changing experience
Yeah.
because those people trained
Yeah.
in hospice were so good.
Yeah.
They were so good. And I know that end of life and dementia is often not very pleasant.
Correct.
I think, in fact, when I had the folks here from Lakewood, I think they said that you choke to death. That's probably the most common way that people die. They kind of forget to
Call it
swallow.
aspirating. Yep.
Aspirating.
Yep.
So, I don't know, I suppose that's pretty fast, but it's still
You
a
got it.
sad way to have to do that.
You know, and that's something too with our ACT community is that we're looking obviously to raise that awareness, but not only that, but to help caregivers as well, because a lot of them, they don't understand, and it does make it more difficult. It seems like when we have a broken arm and we have our arm in a sling, walking down the street, people know you have a broken arm. They don't know that you have dementia. And so with this act, we're actually trying to make this community more of a recognizable disease so that we can help those.
Nothing against the medical profession, but that's one thing I did learn. Often doctors are not trained
Yep.
to deal in this
In
area
fact,
as much as you folks are.
Yep. And the most recent says only 45% of people with Alzheimer's disease or their caregivers report being told of their diagnosis.
Yeah.
It's kind of
Wow,
like doctors.
45%, and that was on the national news.
Yep, that
here
just came out.
recently.
Yep.
It's a
And
new
they said
statistic.
doctors
Yep.
just
Yep.
don't feel comfortable telling someone.
So we're
that-
hoping
that-
to actually get a professional in to work with the doctors and nurses and talk to them about talking with people about that diagnosis through the Act on Alzheimer's.
So your organization gets some funding so you can meet and plan, put on a workshop? Is that what we're talking about through that legislation?
Yes, the Act on Alzheimer's. It's a very specific grant. It doesn't really help us with the forum. That's more, we've made money from the forum in the past, and we take donations because we are a nonprofit organization.
And how far away do your members come from?
Oh goodness, I would say
Staples, Todd
Yeah.
County, kind
Yeah.
of on that end, over,
60 to 80 mile
Aiken.
radius.
yeah, pretty large.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea what percentage of the population is dealing with this? Any ideas at all?
So one of the statistics was they say it's actually more female than male. But
2/3 are female.
5.3
2/3 are female.
Yeah, 2/3
Really?
are female. But that's because those women, they live longer than us guys.
Sure.
So that helps. But 5.3 million Americans are living with Alzheimer's disease today
Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible.
That
How-
are probably diagnosed.
that are diagnosed.
Not counting the ones that haven't been.
How do people get in touch with you?
Oh, great. We are on Facebook, so like us.
And it's called Lakes Area Memory Awareness Advocates.
Yep,
Yep.
yep.
You call it LAMA.
Llama.
Yeah.
We have a Twitter feed. We also have a website, www.memoryadvocates.org, and you can register for the forum on that as well.
Great.
So, or contact any of us on the team, and
And we'll have your names posted on our screen.
perfect.
Okay, great.
Well, thank you all for coming. It's an admirable program, and you're doing some really good work. I think that's great for families to be doing this. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is our final show of the season, our 7th season, and I would like to just give a special thanks to Nisswa Tax, who has been with us since the very beginning and has stood by us through all the good and the bad, the shows we've done. Appreciate it very much. We'll see you again in the fall. You've been watching Lakeland Currents. I'm Ray Gildow. So long until then.